Chapter 777, Being Robin Hood. In the living room, we were reading books and playing card games. The reason is because our TV is on the fritz. This stinks. The TV is broken because a wire snapped. But I can always go buy one later. Lola, that's true. Richard, JD. I can't thank you enough for helping me realize that emotions are a part of who everyone is, and I was so boring while being emotionless. No problem, Richard. We always have to have emotions because that's what makes everyone what they are. Lincoln, no kidding. Lucy, I may enjoy the darkness, but I would never be that boring. Lainey, me neither. I'm sorry the TV broke, guys. But hey, I can always get another one. Lori, that's true. Then we heard crying. Uh-oh. We went to see and we saw Tifa sitting on her bed and she was holding a picture of her and a young boy with brown hair. She was crying hard. Tifa? Are you okay? We went over. Tifa, crying. I miss him. This is a picture of me and my son Chris. Molly Malloy, I didn't know you had a son, Tifa. Tifa, crying. He's not my son by blood. I adopted him as my own son. May I take a look? I saw the picture and it was a kid with a red and white shirt and he had red hair, blue shorts, and he was full of energy. He sure looks like an awesome kid. Sonic came in. Sonic, hey guys, what's the matter? Tifa's upset because she misses her son Chris. Sonic, let me see. Sonic looked at the picture and he recognized Chris. Sonic, I know him. That's Christopher Thorndike. How do you know him, Sonic? Sonic, he helped us in numerous battles against Dr. Robotnik. ****. Chris grew up with his grandfather Chuck Thorndike, his bodyguard, and butler Mr. Tanaka, and his housemaid Ella. He lives in a large, luxurious mansion due to his parents' success in their individual fields of work. Chris' father Nelson Thorndike is a bigwig businessman who is the president of a software company, while Chris' mother Lindsay Thorndike is a movie star. As a child, Chris rarely saw his parents given how they decided to focus more on their careers to give Chris the best things possible. This made Chris become very lonely and he found his luxurious mansion to be pretty boring. At some point, Chris made friends with Danny, Francis, and Helen, who were his classmates, but his relationship with them was not enough to mend his loneliness. One late night, Chris was awoken by the sound of a splash outside of his mansion. Thinking it came from the swimming pool, Chris rushed out of the mansion to investigate, discovering that Sonic the Hedgehog landed in the pool. Without a second thought, Chris dove into the pool to rescue Sonic from drowning. The next morning, Chris was on the phone with his parents, having admitted his actions last night. Eventually, he heard that Sonic's friends Cream and Cheese were captured by the military and held hostage at Area 99. Chris and his grandfather Chuck aided Sonic as he infiltrated the facility to rescue Cream and Cheese. After rescuing them, Chris also met Tails. When Chris discovered that Sonic was missing, he informed his friends about this and set out with Tails and Chuck to look for Sonic. When they were unsuccessful in doing so, Chris then heard the news of Dr. Eggman attacking Station Square with his E-23 missile wrist, announcing his plans for taking over the world. Tails and Chris set out on the Tornado 2 in an attempt to stop Eggman. They attempted to attack Missile Wrist, but were useless against it as Missile Wrist fought back. When all hope seemed to be lost, Sonic finally arrived and defeated Missile Wrist, while Tails and Chris escorted Sonic, Amy and Knuckles back to Chris' home, though the latter leaves. Sometime later, Chris learned how Sonic and his friends were sent to Earth by a chaos control phenomenon caused by the 7 Chaos Emeralds, making Chris figure they could get Sonic and his friends home if they got the emeralds together again. Later, Chris got a new homeroom teacher at school named Mr. Stewart, who was actually an undercover GUN agent sent to observe Chris for anything that could prove useful against Eggman. As Sonic and his friends went to get a Chaos Emerald that had just appeared though, Chris followed them. However, right before Eggman could get the emerald, Chris picked it up first, but Eggman quickly snatched it away. Refusing to let him take it, Chris climbed onto Eggman's egg mobile to retrieve it, and after some struggling, Eggman threw Chris off the egg mobile, only to discover Chris took the Chaos Emerald with him. Fortunately, Sonic managed to save Chris, securing the first of the Chaos Emeralds. When signs of a Chaos Emerald having surfaced in Silver Valley appeared, Chris went to investigate with Tails and Amy. After arriving, however, Chris and Co discovered it was a trap laid by Eggman, who captured them in E47 Pumpty while he lured Sonic and Knuckles into fighting one another. However, Chris and Co managed to escape E47, and when Sonic and Knuckles joined forces, they managed to defeat Eggman together. Afterwards, Chris learned that his parents were taking a break from their work to visit him back home. However, on the day of their arrival, Chris found his class interrupted as Mr. Stewart was abruptly thrown out by Eggman's E51 Intelligent, who took over the class, and quickly gained the respect and support of the kids. However, when Eggman arrived to discover E51 having apparently gone AWOL on him, he threatened E51 into swearing his loyalty to the Eggman Empire again. When Chris then tried to leave for home, E51 kept him from leaving and forced the class to paint portraits of Eggman. Thankfully, Sonic arrived after wondering about Chris being late and destroyed E51, leaving Eggman to depart and defeat again. Sonic then reminded Chris that he needed to get home, and Chris arrived in time to see his parents again. The next day, Lindsay was helping prepare a dinner for her and Chris. However, she soon had to return to work, leaving her upset at thinking she was a bad mother for leaving Chris like this without saying goodbye first. When Chris discovered this, he began to think ill of his mother, causing Cream, who had been pretending to be a stuffed animal to fool Ella, Mr. Stewart, and Sam, to break her ruse and yell at Chris in fury for thinking bad of his mother after she overheard Lindsay earlier, before running out in a huff. Later though, Chris was able to make amends with Cream for what happened. When Eggman began sucking up satellites with his E90 Super Sweeper, Sonic and Tails proved unable to reach orbit to face it in the tornado too. Tails and Chuck thus made the X-Tornado, allowing Chris to join Tails and Sonic as they went into space to deal with E90. When Sonic was frozen solid on the outside of the X-Tornado's fuselage due to the freezing temperatures of the altitude they were at, Chris uses one of the cables in the cockpit to provide a means to thaw Sonic out using ring energy, allowing him to destroy E90. Chris soon after had to attend the opening of Hotel de Blanc at Emerald Coast on behalf of his parents, providing Sonic and the others a chance for a vacation at the Thorndike family's bungalow. However, Eggman soon arrived to destroy the hotel and make room for his new amusement park, with Chris caught in the middle, leading to another battle in which Sonic and Amy were able to defeat him. Later, Chris arrived at the soon-to-be-demolished Diamond Stadium when Tails located the turquoise Chaos Emerald that had been found by the stadium's groundskeeper, Albert Butler. When Eggman arrived with his baseball team of E21 Belias to challenge Sonic and his friends for it and the green Chaos Emerald, Chris took part in the game, but proved to be no match for the E21s until a pep talk from Sonic encouraged him from striking out when up at bat again, allowing him to help Sonic and their team take the lead. In the end, Eggman cheated when he lost the lead, resulting in him escaping with the turquoise Chaos Emerald, but the game convinced the team manager to have the stadium's turf moved to the new stadium and keep Albert employed to maintain it. While Chris was in class one day, a rumor came up that another Chaos Emerald had been found in an abandoned warehouse. Chris went to check it out with Sonic, Tails, and Danny, but were lured in the wrong direction by Rouge the Bat. By the time they discovered the mistake and checked out the warehouse, the trap set by GUN had already caught Rouge, leaving Sonic, Chris, and the others befuddled by the false lead. However, Chris soon set off with Francis, Tails, and Amy to Ting Ellen Villa to seek out the yellow Chaos Emerald there, only to be secretly followed by Mr. Stewart, who had installed a tracking device in Chris' new goggles. However, during the search, Chris and the others were attacked by Eggman and his E35 Fun Fun. Sonic soon arrived in time to save them, but Eggman quickly escaped with the yellow Chaos Emerald. Sonic, Chris, and the others followed him back to his headquarters, currently under attack by GUN naval and air forces, where Sonic was able to break inside, defeat Eggman and his E-18 Guerra hard, and retrieve the turquoise and yellow Chaos Emeralds, while also allowing Rouge, Knuckles, and a GUN commando team a chance to escape before the explosives they planted wiped out Eggman's headquarters. As a result of Sonic's heroics, Chris and his household members were invited to meet the president at the White House. When Chris brought Sonic the news though, Sonic chose to stay in Station Square to fulfill a request for Chris' classmate, Helen. Chris thus went to the meeting with Chuck, Tails, Amy, Cream, and Cheese. When Chris grew worried about Sonic though, he arrived in a commandeered GUN helicopter with Helen, allowing Sonic to meet the president before Chris and everyone shared a laugh when the president's aide, Jerome Wise, passed out upon discovering that the press he had at the party to take a picture of Sonic shaking hands with the president were fast asleep thanks to his earlier stall tactics until Sonic finally showed up. Following the meeting with the president, Chris saw Sonic and his friends being granted passports, allowing them to travel in public and not be kept secret anymore. However, they had a hard time getting used to it when they noticed the strange looks they were given by the public on an outing to the mall with Chris and Ella. However, Eggman soon attacked Station Square in his new mobile base, the Egg Fort. Sonic arrived to confront him, and with help from Sam and Mr. Tanaka, Chris was able to return home and retrieve the X-Tornado to help Sonic against the Egg Fort, sending it plunging into the ocean. Later, Chris took Sonic and the others on a vacation to the Sapphire Sea, during which they explored a sunken ship, where they found the Blue Chaos Emerald. Eggman soon attacked them with his E-57 Klurkin, but Sonic was able to defeat E-57, allowing Chris and Co. to escape with the Emerald. During a dogfight with the Egg Fort, both it and the X-Tornado were shot down over an African savanna, resulting in Chris, Tails, and Sonic running afoul of a pair of crooked men who were planning to build a dam and destroy the savanna in the process. However, thanks to Deco and Boko fighting Sonic in the E-65 Gorajeu, the construction equipment got destroyed, while the criminals were arrested by the local authorities. Chris soon brought Sonic, Tails, Amy, Cream and Cheese to the site of his mother's next movie that was being filmed. Later, after the director decided to call it quits after a take of Lindsay in the castle resulted in problems with the audio after 2 attempts, Chris paid his mom a visit to wish her good night. However, Lindsay got kidnapped by King Boom Boo and his fellow Booms, and Chris soon found himself struggling to rescue her alongside Ella, Sonic, Tails, Cream and Cheese, with Amy's help. After the two got tricked by King Boom Boo into freeing him with the talisman, Amy got possessed by one of his minions and attacked Chris. Just when it looked like Chris was done for though, the possessed Amy showed fear when she saw he was in front of the talisman, hesitating to attack him out of concern for the relic. Seizing the moment, Chris used the talisman to free Sonic, who then exorcised Amy, before everyone else was released. The group then escaped King Boom Boo and Chris sealed him and his minions up again with the talisman. However, Chris forgot to put the talisman back on its pedestal the right way, meaning that King Boom Boo could still escape. Chris later took Sonic and his friends on a trip to the glaciers on his family's cruise ship, but Sonic proved to be unable to relax due to being surrounded by water, paranoid with wanting to return to dry land. Mr. Tanaka soon arrived with a helicopter full of senior citizens to help Sonic and his friends relax, but it was not until Eggman arrived to attack in his new Egg Fort too, and with support from a senior citizen offering him some advice, that Sonic finally managed to regain his focus. Also aided by an enraged Ella in the X-Tornado, Sonic defeated the Egg Fort too. One night, Chris was awoken from sleep by his uncle, Sam Speed, having arrived to challenge Sonic to a race in his new rocket car, which Sonic eventually conceded to. During the race, Chris and Tails arrived in the X-Tornado to give Sonic lunch, but Chris was left covered in dust when Sam took off to retake the lead while Sonic was distracted. Chris later appeared at the finish line, where Sonic won by a huge margin. Chris eventually came along with his friends and Sonic's crew on a trip to the homeland of Mr. Tanaka, led by Mr. Stewart. After Cheese got flushed down a river however, Chris helped his friends search for it. Eventually, the group discovered a small passage through which they entered a Chow colony. There, Chris and the others were warmly welcomed by its residents. After they found cheese and played with the Chow, they decided to return to Mr. Stewart. However, Dr. Eggman and his E66 Didio soon appeared. When the robot tried to attack the group, however, it slid down the mountainside. Although that neutralized the threat, the robot would muddle up the river feeding the Chow colony. Chris and the others thus tried cleaning the pond where the Chow lived until Chris came and did it for them. After that, Chris could enjoy the evening at a bonfire, learning that Tanaka knew about the Chow colony. A short time later, Chris received a call from his father Nelson, asking him to come to Filmdom City. The reason was that Nelson wanted his family, Sonic, and his friends there, as he was planning on surprising Lindsay for their wedding anniversary by appearing on the set of her latest movie to present her with a ring he got for their anniversary while in disguise as one of her CO stars. However, when he revealed the ring to Chris and co., it turned out to be the purple Chaos Emerald, which reacted violently to the one Sonic was carrying before being subdued. During the rehearsal for the scene Nelson would present the emerald to Lindsay in, he ended up ruining the whole plan and exposing the emerald again, causing it to react to both the ones Sonic and Knuckles were carrying, destroying much of the sound stage's equipment before Mr. Tanaka subdued it. Lindsay was furious as a result, but before Chris' parents could get too deep in arguing, the set got crashed by the Egg Fort 2, setting in motion events that left the purple Chaos Emerald in Eggman's possession, before E74 Weezo attacked everyone. When E74 threatened Chris, Lindsay, and Ella, Nelson protected them, but Sonic and Knuckles managed to lure E74 away and destroy him, while Eggman escaped with the emerald. Afterward, Chris and his mother were relieved that Nelson was alright, before cheering Tanaka up after the butler thought he had failed his duty to protect the Thorndikes. With all matters settled, Chris encouraged everyone to celebrate his parents' anniversary, which they did. Later, Sonic found himself unable to stop running when a microchip from Eggman's E88 Lightning Bird got stuck in his ear unnoticed. Chris and his friends made several attempts to stop Sonic with various traps, but they all failed. Thankfully, Sonic eventually got the microchip out himself. With everyone looking for the last missing Chaos Emerald, Chris began feeling depressed, knowing that once they had all 7, Sonic and his new friends would leave him and head home. When Stewart convinced Chris to think about his friends first though, the decision was made for Chris and Knuckles to meet with Eggman and call a truce so they could work together to get those among them home. After Eggman agreed and asked for the Chaos Emeralds to be brought to him for safekeeping, Chris took the 4 Sonic had, and the 1 Knuckles had, to the Egg Fort 2. After dropping them off, Chris and Knuckles witnessed T-77 Lucky report that he had found the last Chaos Emerald. Seizing the moment, Eggman ejected Knuckles from the Egg Fort 2 and took Chris hostage, revealing to Chris that he planned to establish the Eggman Empire on Earth and had no interest in their truce. With that, he launched the Egg Fort 2 to go meet with Lucky. Shackled to the back wall of the Egg Fort 2's cockpit, Chris was left helpless as he watched Eggman deal with Sonic and GUN, only able to cheer Sonic on and taunt Eggman. However, when Eggman turned the Egg Fort 2 into the E99 Exterminator, fueled by power from the 6 Chaos Emeralds he now possessed, Chris saw Sonic get beaten into a pulp by the Exterminator, struggling against his restraints and shouting Sonic's name in anguish. Finally, when the Exterminator drop-kicked an unconscious Sonic into the ocean, it became too much for Chris to bear. Breaking free of his restraints and grabbing the emeralds, Chris was left in a heavily injured state. When Knuckles then broke into the cockpit to rescue Chris, Rouge carried him off in the confusion. However, Chris struggled in her arms, causing her to drop him and the emeralds. Rouge was able to save him, but the emeralds fell into the ocean. As the Exterminator then grabbed Rouge and Chris and attempted to crush them, however, Sonic was revived by the 7 Chaos Emeralds, as Lucky had given him his earlier, transforming into Super Sonic. Tearing the Exterminator's fist holding Rouge and Chris to pieces, Super Sonic took down the rest of the Exterminator, before inducing Chaos Control. In the void of Chaos Control, Supersonic healed Chris of his injuries. Chris hugged Supersonic, asking him not to leave, but Supersonic soon disappeared, leaving Chris in deep grief. It soon turned out, however, that Chaos Control brought the Mystic Ruins and Angel Island to Earth instead, and Chris' face brightened once more when Sonic appeared before him. 6 months after Supersonic's battle with the Exterminator, during which Eggman had mysteriously gone silent, Chris would pay his mom a visit, where she gave Cream the yellow Chaos Emerald as a gift. Later, the two met another resident from Sonic's world, Big the Cat, who was looking for his pal Froggy, and Chris and Cream agreed to help him. However, sometime later, Chris found the Station Square police under attack by was only when Sonic showed up to fight it that Eggman arrived and revealed that he was behind Chaos and planned to evolve it into an unstoppable monster with the Chaos Emeralds to conquer the world with. Stealing Cream's Chaos Emerald, alongside the emerald he already possessed, Eggman evolved Chaos into Chaos 2. However, Knuckles arrived, demanding to know what Eggman did to the Master Emerald, and together with Sonic, they managed to defeat Chaos 2. Gathering with his friends to hear their stories, Chris learned from Knuckles that the Master Emerald had been shattered and that Froggy had swallowed the purple Chaos Emerald Big had found. Chris thus agreed to help Big find Froggy, while Sonic and Tails looked for the rest of the Chaos Emeralds to ensure Chaos could not grow stronger. Knuckles also began his search for the shards of the Master Emerald so he could restore it. During their search for Froggy, Chris and Big managed to fish him up from one of the fishing spots Big found, only for Froggy to then be kidnapped by E-102 Gamma, one of Eggman's E-Series robots sent to hunt Froggy down. Pursuing Gamma to the egg carrier, Chris and Big freed Froggy. However, they ended up becoming captives of Chaos when it absorbed the Chaos Emerald from Froggy, along with the Emerald Eggman got earlier from a Flicky, which transformed Chaos 4 into Chaos 6. However, a tag team effort by Sonic and Knuckles defeated Chaos 6, thus freeing Chris, Big and Froggy from its clutches, leaving Eggman to escape his crashing egg carrier in fury. Boarding the abandoned X-Tornado, Chris managed to escape the egg carrier, but was separated from the others, only to then find the white Chaos Emerald. With the emerald in his possession, Chris went to find Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, who had just discovered from Eggman that Chaos was still alive. When Chris finally found his friends, Chaos ambushed him, forcing Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles to rescue him, but allowing Chaos to get all 7 Chaos Emeralds the group had and assume its ultimate form of perfect chaos. Chris subsequently flew back to the now flooded Station Square with the others in the X-Tornado, but none of their attacks, nor Eggman's egg carrier 2, were able to break through Chaos' defenses. Before Chaos could finish them off though, a spirit named Tikal saved them. Chris was later among those who retrieved the drained Chaos Emeralds for Sonic to use, who used their remaining energy to become Super Sonic again to fight Perfect Chaos. During the fight, Perfect Chaos tried attacking Chris and the others, but Super Sonic blocked the attack. Provoked by Perfect Chaos attacking his friends, Super Sonic defeated Perfect Chaos. This purged Chaos of the anger and hatred that had poisoned it for so long and reverted it back to its base form. After Chaos left with Tikal, Chris and the others noticed Eggman had escaped in the confusion, but they knew he would be back. Because of the damage Station Square sustained from Perfect Chaos, Chris and his family had to move to the capital until the damage to the Thorndike mansion was repaired. However, Chris soon discovered that Sonic was wanted by the police and GUN for numerous crimes being carried out by a mysterious hedgehog that looked like Sonic. Locating Sonic soon after, Chris saw Sonic's run-in with his doppelganger, the ultimate life form, Shadow the Hedgehog. After Shadow fled the scene, the police and GUN cornered Sonic. Sonic pleaded that he was innocent, but Chris begged him to just turn himself in to avoid further trouble, which Sonic did after being told that he was being taken to Prison Island. Despite Sonic having been incarcerated, Chris and Mr. Tanaka decided to bust him out with Tails and Amy. While Tails and Amy took the X-Tornado to Prison Island, Chris and Mr. Tanaka headed there in disguise in a boat. Once there, Chris and Tanaka ditched their disguises and got onto the island, but when it was discovered that Eggman had rigged the island to explode, Chris encountered Shadow, thereby proving to him that Sonic was innocent. As Chris got entangled in Shadow's escape, he managed to convince Shadow to transport him off the island to safety via chaos control alongside Shadow's partner, Rouge. After Prison Island's destruction, Chris ended up on Space Colony Ark, where he discovered that Eggman planned to use the colony's Eclipse cannon to threaten the world into submitting to his rule. Any attempt by Chris to reason with Shadow also fell on deaf ears, as Shadow was convinced by Professor Robotnik to take revenge on humanity for Maria's death. Once Eggman had all 7 Chaos Emeralds, he attempted to fire the Eclipse cannon at Earth for refusing to give in to his demands. However, instead, he triggered his grandfather's Doomsday revenge plot, turning the whole Ark into a megabomb that would destroy the Earth. While Sonic, Knuckles, Deco, and Boko took the Master Emerald to the Ark's core to defuse the Ark by draining the Chaos Emeralds of their power, Shadow refuses to help, remained convinced that humanity deserved to perish. However, Chris managed to make Shadow remember the full understanding of Maria's last words to him, thereby convincing him to help save the world, but was badly injured by a hostile Shadow in the process. As a result, when Sonic and Shadow went Super to deal with the final lizard, Super Sonic momentarily returned to his friends to heal Chris of his injuries. After being healed, Chris watched as Sonic and Shadow destroyed the final lizard and restored the Ark to a stable orbit. However, when Sonic returned with only one of Shadow's limiters, indicating he sacrificed himself to save everyone, Chris was left deeply upset over Shadow's sacrifice before returning to Earth with Sonic and the others. After moving back home to the Thorndike mansion in Station Square, Chris joined his grandfather Chuck when he spoke with the president regarding how the recent chaos control used by Sonic and Shadow to stop the Ark had caused more parts of Sonic's world to be brought to Earth, which was troubling the president. While Chuck assured him that there was no problem regarding it, Chris still felt uneasy about everything. He also bore witness when Eggman attempted to make up for the incident with the Ark by repairing the moon, turning it into the Egg Moon. Later at home, Chris watched Amy throw a temper tantrum regarding Sonic standing her up for a date. As she swung her hammer in frustration, however, Chris noticed a loud clunk when Amy seemingly hit something invisible. Some time later, Chris and the others were confronted by Vector the Crocodile and Charmy Bee, 2 members of the Chaotix, who had come looking for Cream, which led to a scuffle. This scuffle was only broken up when Sonic returned with Vector's client, Cream's mother Vanilla, allowing Cream and Vanilla to reunite, much to Chris' amazement, before everyone picked on Vector for his mistake. Some time later, everyone gathered on the Thorndike family yacht to celebrate the new year, but soon found their celebration ruined by the Egg Moon eclipsing the Sunday. Eggman explained that the Egg Moon was malfunctioning, so he offered his sunshine balls as a temporary replacement until the Egg Moon was fixed. However, Chris was shocked when Sonic began destroying the mirror towers that provide power to the sunshine balls, angering the people of Station Square and causing them to surround the Thorndike mansion. After Amy broke down a wall to allow them out, Chris and the others were surrounded by the mob, led by the former aide to the president, Jerome Wise. However, Chris' uncle arrived with the speed team, and threatened to arrest everyone there if they laid so much as a hand on his nephew. Faced with little options at that point, Jerome and the mob reluctantly disperse, allowing Chris, Tails, and Amy to take the X-Tornado to find Sonic, arriving when Gun did to confront him, as he had been fighting Knuckles at the moment. When Sonic attempted to explain his reasons for his actions, Chris was overwhelmed by all the logic, but Tails and Amy understood, and they realized that Eggman had been tricking everyone in another scheme to build the Eggman Empire. Back at the Thorndike mansion, Chris, Sonic, Tails and Amy headed to the White House to rescue the president from Eggman, while Topaz and Rouge went with Knuckles and Mr. Tanaka into space to take out the transmitter on the Egg Moon to end the eclipse. With Eggman, Deco, and Boko on the run, Chris joined in a trap that led to Eggman and his 2 lackeys finally getting arrested and incarcerated. As peace settled, Chris had to deal with Amy when she got upset over being stood up by Sonic after they had arranged a date. Fortunately, Sam Speed would show up and help take Amy off his hands. However, even with Eggman in prison, That did not stop him from sabotaging the appliances being made by Nelson's company, Thorndike Industries, causing them to turn evil and run rampant, forcing Chris, Sonic, and the others to deal with them while Buchan busted Eggman, Deco, and Boko out of prison. In the process, Chris also met Emerald, who was able to help deal with the rampaging appliances by copying Sonic's spin attack. With Eggman on the loose again, Chris joined his friends when they tried to infiltrate Eggman's base under Station Square. There, they had to contend with the Egg Spider, which was destroyed by Emerald. Amidst the chaos, however, Eggman would escape again. Hoping to lure him out, the president held the Chaos Emerald Martial Arts Mash-Up Tournament. Chris made his way through the competition, but forfeited to Knuckles in the quarterfinals, not wanting to face Amy or Rouge in the semifinals. Emerald eventually won the tournament, only for the energy from the Chaos Emerald, the prize of the tournament, to make him go berserk. When Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Amy, and Rouge were unable to stop him due to its copy ability, it was Cream and Cheese who finally deal Emerald a death blow when they tag team it, which prevented Emerald from using his copy ability on them as the other attacked before Emerald could finish duplicating the move he was recording. Sometime later, Chris found himself helping Sonic when Eggman attempted to locate the lost continent of Murasia, having taken the crew of the GUN destroyer Seahawk hostage on his egg battleship to ensure neither Sonic nor GUN and their Gunfort V3 would try to stop him. However, in the end, Eggman's plan for Murasia failed, and Deco and Boko, who Eggman left behind to perish, defect and join Chris, staying at his house. Christina Cooper arrived sometime later to reveal that the time suspension phenomenon was taking place, threatening to stop time permanently unless Sonic and his friends, along with everything from their world, went back home. Heartbroken, Chris thought this was a trick, and decided to confront Eggman on it. However, Eggman had no part in what was happening, and even managed to show Chris that he was acting selfishly by refusing to let Sonic and the others go home. Realizing his mistake, Chris returned home. When Tails and Chuck later completed a portal leading back to Sonic's dimension, it was not long before it was time to say goodbye to everyone as they were sent back to Sonic's world. However, even after everyone else went through and returned to their world, Chris, at the last second, hit the shut-off switch to the portal before Sonic could enter, shutting it down, to everyone's shock. Before anyone could ask Chris why, he grabbed Sonic and fled for parts unknown. Despite being willing to see everyone else off, Chris refused to let Sonic leave as he felt that, due to his parents and their busy schedules, Sonic's departure would leave Chris feeling all alone again. Fleeing to his family's old lakeside retreat, Chris and Sonic were able to talk, and Sonic finally convinced Chris to let him return to his world. It was then revealed that though Chris had shut down the portal, Sonic has always been able to use Chaos Control with the Chaos Emeralds to return home under his own power. Shortly after Sonic departed, Lindsay and Nelson, who finally understood Chris' feelings and wanted to make up for their absence by spending more time with him, arrived to find Chris waiting for them. 6 years later, Chris has grown considerably. In that time, he and Helen began working together on getting the portal working again to visit Sonic in his world. Eventually, they took a break to go meet with Francis and Danny. As the four friends discussed things regarding events with Sonic and the others so long ago, Chris reminisced about his time with Sonic and all the adventures that they had together. Early in the 3rd season, he uses a portal to travel to Sonic's home in the show. But due to the differences in time acceleration between both planets, the teleportation process rejuvenates his body back to his pre-teen age. Chris no longer takes the back seat in the X-Tornado. Instead, he is shown as flying it capably, which his younger self would never have been able to do so. Chris also comments in one episode that he is a black belt in karate. Additionally, he has also shown to have become a quite capable engineer, enough to impress Tails. He invents different gadgets and devices like Sonic's hover shoes, a hoverboard, and a new, better Chaos Emerald scanner for the Blue Typhoon. He is also seen in a few episodes using flash bombs as a distraction, and he also uses a laser gun as a weapon. His support allows Sonic and their friends to defeat the Metarex in numerous conflicts, culminating in the final battle against Metarex leader Dark Oak, that results in the destruction of him, his remaining Metarex forces, and tragically, Cosmo, who sacrificed herself to paralyze Dark Oak so Tails could deliver the killing blow to Dark Oak with Super Sonic and Super Shadow using the Sonic Power Cannon. However, with the Master Emerald having been sacrificed to kill Dark Oak's 2 remaining generals that fused with him into Final Mova, Chris was stranded in Sonic's world, until Eggman offered a means to allow Chris to return home. There was a catch though. Chris could not take the time to say goodbye to Sonic and his friends as the window for him to return home closed in a few minutes. With little option left, Chris took Eggman up on his offer, boarded the pod, and was launched to return home. As he roared into the sky, Chris spotted Sonic running along the ground below, who looked up and wished Chris good luck before the pod disappeared from view as Chris returned home to Station Square and Earth. As a result, since Chris never got to say goodbye to them, Sonic and his friends all declare war on Eggman. ******. Me? Wow. I didn't know he helped you out. Sonic, he is a true friend. But when we last saw him he disappeared a while ago. Tifa, that's because I found him. Tifa revealed a sad story that was enough to make all of us cry. During a deadly raid on a slave encampment, Tifa found Chris and saved him. She was touched by his sad and heroic background that she adopted him as her own son. But then when the war with Xehanort began, they were separated. Tifa was heartbroken and she feared that she would never see him again. We were crying hard. I had tears streaming down my face. The boyfriends of the Loud Sisters were comforting them. Lainey, crying hard, that is so sad. Joey, comforts Lainey, I know Lainey. It's gonna be alright. Lori J, crying hard, poor Chris. Nick F, comforts Lori, I know Lori. Me, we got to find him. Sora, let's call Cloud about this. It's been ages since I talked to him. Me, that's a great idea Sora. Goofy, gosh I wonder how he's doing. Donald, let's go see. Me, okay. Tifa, when was the last time you saw him? Tifa, when we were in Hollow Bastion. Me, then that's where we're heading. Let's roll. We were off to Hollow Bastion. KHII Hollow Bastion. ******. Hollow Bastion. ******. We were at Hollow Bastion orbiting the land of departure. We saw that it was once the land of the base of operations for Maleficent when we destroyed the key to darkness. Me, wow. Hollow Bastion. Carrie, never thought we would be back here again. Naruto, boy this place has a lot of bad memories. Me, but we did stop Maleficent from opening the door to darkness. Fu, and we killed all the Disney villains. Sakura, we sure did. Aqua, I'll never forget that. Lincoln, me neither. Earth, what was all that like Linky? Lincoln, it was a nightmare. Me, we can talk about that later guys. I have a feeling I know where Chris is. Let's go. G1 Soundwave, Rage, Eject. Operation, Sun Retrieval. We went down to the southern side of the world and it was getting creepier and creepier. The negative energy was very weak but its presence was really strong and it was enough to be detected. We continued on and it was getting stronger and stronger. We arrived at a cliff edge and we saw a dark castle called the Villain's Vale. It was a castle home to thousands upon thousands of Heartless and the number of them around the whole castle and the number was staggering. Me, holy mackerel. Lola, look at all the Heartless. Lana, there's so many of them. Our scans show that there were 865, 745, 745, 582, 894, 825, 863, 725, 853, 875, 894, 785 Heartless all in one spot and the dark orb detector showed that there was a massive dark orb hidden right underneath the castle. It was as big as a massive skyscraper. Whoa. That's the biggest dark orb of them all. Lori, that is literally the biggest one we've ever seen. Me, let's blow this one apart. I flared up my Super Eben U30,000 aura and fired a massive Kamehameha wave at the dark orb under the castle, and it drilled under it and blew the whole dark orb apart and destroyed the whole castle and all the Heartless, and it all released a massive burst of energy that made the power up in the choleric section of the corrupted land of 000 seem like nothing, and it empowered us with a massive power increase of such incredible power that it made us stronger in energy, power, and more. When it was done, we saw our auras look like they were pure fire and overflowing with so much energy that it was unbelievable. Me? Wow. What power. Nico? Unreal. This is the most powerful I've ever felt. Lori? Me too. Vince? Unbelievable. Lainey? This is amazing. Then a scream was heard. We turned and we saw Chris Thorndike. He was being attacked by a leopard and Simisage. Nico, a leopard and a Simisage. Me, I already have a leopard. You can have those too, Nico. Nico, with pleasure. Nico threw 2 pokeballs and caught them. Tifa, Chris. Chris, Mom. They hugged and were reunited. Me, I'm so glad he's alright. Suddenly I sensed an incredible power. It was incredibly strong, and it was as powerful as when we fought Unicron. Me? Whoa. Do you guys feel that? Naruto, I sure do. That power I'm sensing is incredible. Fu, whoever it's coming from is incredibly powerful. Me, yet. But we'll worry about whoever it is later. That power comes from Sephiroth. We turned and we saw Cloud Strife. Me, Cloud Strife, I presume? Cloud, that's right. It's an honor to meet you, JD. Me, you too. Sora, it's great to see you again, Cloud. Cloud, same to you, Sora. We later found out who Sephiroth is. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. He was a biologically engineering genocidal conqueror. His power is completely unreal, and it's absolutely terrifying. So powerful that it rivals that of even the most powerful of gods. Sephiroth is the child of Professor Hojo and Lucretia Crescent, 2 Shinra Incorporated scientists. While in the womb, his mother named Lucretia was injected with cells of a powerful alien being known as Shinova, and in his fetal form, he merged with the cells and was taken from Lucretia at birth. He was kept in the dark about his real mother, only told that she was named Shinova, and the terrible experiments that were been performed on him. Later in his life, he became a member of Soldier, Shinra Inc.'s Super Warriors. Sephiroth became the most powerful soldier, going beyond first class, and became known as the Soldier Hero. He was particularly renowned for his accomplishments during the war between Shinra and Mutai, where he was first seen easily defeating a powerful Jin known as Ifrit. Sephiroth was close friends with 2 other Shinra experiments, Angeal and Genesis, Genesis being considered a failure compared to him, and both were also unaware of what had been done to them. Genesis and Angeal would spar with Sephiroth, at which Sephiroth would easily fight them all off, until one day Genesis tried to go all out. Try as Genesis may, Sephiroth overwhelms him, but Angeal stops the fight. Genesis would leave Shinra shortly afterwards with Professor Hollander. Sephiroth hoped to bring him back, however. Then, Shinra sent him to Nibelheim to inspect a broken Mako reactor, along with another soldier first class, Zack Fair, and several infantry men, one of which was Cloud Strife. Once in the city, Zack asks Sephiroth about his parents, and he mentions that his mother's name was Shinova, but said nothing about his father. Sephiroth climbs Mt. Nibel with the rest of his men to inspect the reactor, and in it he finds a room labeled Shinova. In the room he sees Shinova, a hideous abomination, in the form of a female. Why Shinova is in an armored containment suit when later revealed is unclear, although it is likely a small error by the game creators. This and the witnessing of other mutant creatures, failed soldiers injected with Shinova cells, brings about what essentially is a psychotic break, leading to him question who, or what, he is. For 6 days he locked himself in the basement of Shinra Mansion reading books about the experiments Shinra had been doing. This research causes Sephiroth to believe that Genova was a Cetra and that he himself is the last surviving Cetra. He also comes to think that humanity betrayed the Cetra by leaving them to defend the planet against an evil calamity, the calamity actually being Genova herself. With this information along with his anger for being used as an experiment for Shinra, Sephiroth slowly slips into insanity. On the 7th day, Sephiroth decided to take revenge on the humans for leaving the Cetra and making him one of Shinra's experiments. But first insanity took him and he burned Nibelheim to the ground, most likely using an extremely powerful Furga. Zack thus confronts him later on, with Cloud not far behind. When they reach the reactor, Zack breaks into the room labeled Genova, and demands that Sephiroth tell him why he burned the town down. Sephiroth stood in front of a discolored and disfigured woman in a test tube, Genova, and addresses her as mother, believing she is his real mother due to the fact that he was told his mother's name was Genova. After talking to Genova about reclaiming the planet, Zack attacks him and they fight fiercely. Although Zack is able to stand reasonably evenly with Sephiroth, even having the skills to defeat Genesis proved to be insufficient and Sephiroth eventually overwhelms Zack in swordplay, driving him back before he quickly overpowered Zack in a clash of strength, disarming him and sending him flying. Sephiroth turned back to his mother and acts as if nothing has happened. Cloud then walks in, and takes Zack's Buster Sword and badly injures Sephiroth, but Sephiroth, in his rage, easily stabs Cloud through the stomach, though with all his will, Cloud manages to pull the sword up and throw Sephiroth off the edge of the reactor core, although, as an alternate ending in the anime Last Order Final Fantasy VII, Sephiroth intentionally jumps into the reactor asking Genova to go with him to the Promised Land. In Final Fantasy VII, while seeking to find the black materia and destroy the world, Sephiroth desires to reach the Promised Land by doing so. He is briefly playable in a flashback to the events that occurred in Nibelheim 7 years prior. Most of the game is spent searching for him, but Sephiroth is always one step ahead of the heroes. His desire is to find the so-called Promised Land, so he can use the large amount of Mako energy to activate the black materia, summoning Meteor, a powerful spell which Sephiroth tricks Cloud and the others into finding. Once activated, the black materia would send a meteor into the planet, causing the planet to try and heal itself using the life stream's Mako energy. Sephiroth would then absorb this energy, thus becoming a god and rule the planet. As the game progresses, it seems Sephiroth's powers become greater and greater, to the point where he can control Cloud, and even the remaining cells of Genova herself. His control over Cloud, however, allows him to obtain the black materia from him. Using Cloud, Sephiroth tries to make him kill Aerith while she is praying in the Forgotten Village, trying to summon the spell Holy to help counteract the meteor summoned by Sephiroth. Tifa, however, yells and breaks Sephiroth's manipulation, and so using his control over Genova, he forces her cells to take his own form and uses her to impale Aerith through the stomach. Cloud and company pursue Sephiroth to the planet's wound, a crater that was left behind when Genova arrived on the planet. They go into it and Sephiroth shows Cloud several flashbacks of what really happened at Nibelheim, and reveals that Cloud has his cells in him, and that Sephiroth could control him because of this. The illusion ends and Cloud, who does not believe himself to be Cloud, hands over the black materia to the real Sephiroth that had been frozen in the planet's core. Sephiroth had controlled remnants that shared Genova cells from inside the planet in order to bring himself back to life and achieve his plan of becoming a god to rule the planet. Eventually, Sephiroth achieved his plan and became Bizarro Sephiroth, in Japanese, Ribsoi Sephirosu, and Safer Sephiroth, in Japanese, Sva Sephirosu, which is his ultimate god or godlike form. One last battle commences between Cloud, his friends, and Safer Sephiroth, who is eventually defeated. Despite this, his conscience remains intact and he drags Cloud into the life stream to have one last confrontation with him, this time in a metaphysical realm. However, just like before, Sephiroth is defeated. The meteor continues its course and crashes into Gaia, but due to Aerith's ability to talk with the planet and summon the spell Holy, the life stream is able to push back the meteor before it causes ultimate destruction to the planet. In Advent Children, though Sephiroth was defeated 2 years earlier, but has left a great dent in the planet. He infected the life stream, and so created a disease called geostigma. Geostigma weakens the immune system, causes exhaustion, and black sores on the skin of the infected. Children are more prone to getting this disease than adults. However, this does not mean adults can't get it. In fact, Cloud has it. 3 remnants of Sephiroth that did not dissipate into the life stream, named Kadaj, Laz, and Yazoo, are seeking to reunite with their mother Jenova, and attack Cloud, calling him their brother. As the movie progresses, 2 of the remnants are defeated, leaving only Kadaj, who merges with what is left of Jenova. By doing so, he becomes Sephiroth's avatar, adopting his physical appearance. Cloud and Sephiroth fight once more, and this time it is purely physical battle. With his superior combat abilities, Sephiroth is steadily able to wear down and overwhelm Cloud until Cloud is finally decisively beaten and badly injured. However, Cloud, by reminiscing of all that he cherishes when Sephiroth mistakenly mocks him by threatening to kill them all and being invigorated by Zack's spirit, perfects Omni/5 and uses it to finally defeat Sephiroth, taking advantage of the advantage of many blades, the enchanted speed, and Sephiroth is surprised to soundly deal lethal blows. However, when Cloud demands Sephiroth to stay in his memory, Sephiroth calmly says, "I will never be a memory," proving he is not truly defeated, and while his physical body may have been destroyed, he is still present. Sephiroth, though not visibly seen, is mentioned as a well-known hero. His reputation inspires Zack Fair to train to become Sephiroth's equal in power and legend. After Master Xehanort's defeat, Zack witnesses Hercules train under Phil, noticing one of Sephiroth's feathers floating towards him. Zack then disappears, with the feather landing where he once stood. Sephiroth appears as an optional boss in the first Kingdom Hearts game for both the North American version, and later the final mix version. He is found in Olympus Coliseum. No story is really provided, though it does refer to him as the soldier commander and a man once known as the greatest of swordsmen. Prior to Sora's arrival to Olympus Coliseum, Cloud strikes a deal with Hades. If Cloud defeats Hercules in battle, Hades will lead Cloud to Sephiroth. However, the deal is not paid off. Later, Sora enters the Platinum match and encounters Sephiroth himself, besting the One-Winged Angel in a duel. In the final mix version only, following Sora's departure, Cloud encounters Sephiroth and engage in a battle before dissipating in light. In the second Kingdom Hearts game, while still an optional boss, Sephiroth is given a backstory. Sephiroth claims he is the darkness in Cloud's heart, and as long as that darkness remains, Sephiroth cannot die. Thus, Cloud and Sephiroth have been fighting for a long time, across many different worlds. 1 year after Sora's battle with Xehanort's Heartless, Cloud has been looking for Sephiroth in the newly restored techno-magic kingdom of Hollow Bastion, now known by its true name Radiant Garden, wanting to end their conflict once and for all. Sora and company first encounter Sephiroth as they leave Hollow Bastion's castle to assist in the Battle of the 1000 Heartless. The One-Winged Angel inquires of Cloud's whereabouts, but realizes that Cloud is getting enlightened and takes his leave. He soon after rescues his arch-nemesis from a swarm of Heartless and taunts him about the darkness. After defeating the MCP and discovering Hollow Bastion's true name of Radiant Garden, Sora and company arrive at the Dark Depths, once more encountering Sephiroth, who asks where Cloud is and on Sora's identity. Sora and company refuse to answer. Sephiroth then notices Sora's Keyblade and engages Sora in battle, intending on testing the weapon's loyalty and Sora's strength. After an arduous battle, Sora triumphs over the One-Winged Angel. Sephiroth, though, informs Sora that only Cloud can truly defeat him, and orders the Keyblade wielder to bring Cloud to him. Sora then finds Cloud in the marketplace and tells him of Sephiroth's location, prompting Cloud to travel there to engage Sephiroth in battle. As Sora returns to the Dark Depths, Cloud arrives and duels with Sephiroth. As the two lock blades, Sephiroth taunts Cloud once more, but Tifa arrives, encouraging Cloud to let go of his inner past. Though Sephiroth is irritated at Tifa's appearance, Cloud suddenly glows in a bright aura and warps both himself and Sephiroth to an unknown world to continue their duel. Sephiroth makes an appearance in the Final Fantasy-based fighting game Dissidia and its prequel Dissidia 012. Despite a few more colors in his wardrobe, he pretty much stays the same. In the story he mocks Cloud's inability to find a reason to fight. Once Cloud defeats him and obtains his crystal, Sephiroth tells him to remember that he is the only reason that Cloud was able to get it. Among all Final Fantasy villains in Dissidia Final Fantasy, Sephiroth seems to be treated with the most fear by both villains and heroes. Unlike other Final Fantasy villains, Sephiroth truly believes he is right, and from this draws substantial willpower, and fervent religious willpower, this with his psychopathy, substantial martial ability, and massive power reserves make him among the most powerful of Chaos Warriors, if not the most powerful. In some cutscenes, it is revealed that Sephiroth had no memory of his past life when he awoke as a servant of Chaos. However, he says that he is slowly gaining it back. His personality does fully comes back near the end of the game. The fallen hero also appears in this rhythm game as a boss in Final Fantasy VII scenarios, commonly during the song One Winged Angel. He is also an unlockable playable character by gathering 8 black shards. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Me? Whoa. So Sephiroth is that dangerous? Cloud? Yet. He poses a tremendous threat to everyone in the entire universe. Me? Then we have to kill him when he makes his move. Nico? Good idea. And if his power is as terrifying as it is, then we are in serious danger. Me? No kidding. And he has a 7.5-foot long sword? That's huge. Lori? No kidding. Lisa? A sword like that would have a very long extended and deadly reach. Me? It sure would. We had a future fight on our hands and Cloud would call us when the time to fight Sephiroth came. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Back at the estate, we finished setting up our new 84 HD plasma TV and we were watching my favorite Disney movie from 1973, Robin Hood. It was based on the legendary tale of English folklore, Robin Hood. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The film is narrated by the rooster Alanadale, who explains that Robin Hood and Little John live in Sherwood Forest, robbing from the rich and giving to the poor townsfolk of Nottingham. The Sheriff of Nottingham and his posse often try to catch the two but fail every time. Meanwhile, Prince John and his assistant Sir Hiss arrive in Nottingham. Sir Hiss hypnotized Prince John's brother King Richard to go off on the Crusades, allowing Prince John to take the throne. Unfortunately, the prince is greedy and immature, even sucking his thumb whenever his mother is mentioned. Robin and Little John rob Prince John by disguising themselves as fortune tellers, prompting the prince to put a bounty on their heads and makes the sheriff his personal tax collector. The sheriff taxes Friar Tuck and a family of rabbits. However, Robin gives back some money to the rabbits, giving his hat and archery kit to the young rabbit Skippy for his birthday. Skippy and his friends test out the archery kit, but Skippy fires an arrow into the grounds of Maid Marian's castle. The children sneak inside, meeting Maid Marian and her attendant Lady Cluck. Maid Marian reveals she and Robin were childhood sweethearts but they have not seen one another for years. Friar Tuck visits Robin and Little John, explaining that Prince John is hosting an archery tournament, and the winner will receive a kiss from Maid Marian. Robin agrees to participate in the tournament disguised as a stork whilst Little John disguises himself as the Duke of Chutney to get near Prince John. Sir Hiss discovers Robin's identity but is trapped in a barrel of ale by Friar Tuck and Alanadale. Robin wins the tournament, but Prince John exposes him and has him arrested for execution despite Maid Marian's pleas. Little John threatens Prince John, leading to a fight between Robin, Little John, Maid Marian, Lady Cluck, and Prince John's soldiers. In the forest, Robin and Maid Marian fall in love again as the townsfolk mock Prince John, describing him as the phony King of England. Enraged by the insult, Prince John triples the taxes, imprisoning most of the townsfolk who cannot pay their taxes. The sheriff visits Friar Tuck's church to steal from the poor box, enraging Friar Tuck, who is arrested too. Prince John plans to hang Friar Tuck to lure in Robin and kill him. Robin and Little John sneak in, with Little John managing to free all of the prisoners whilst Robin steals Prince John's taxes, but Sir Hiss awakens to find Robin fleeing. Chaos follows as Robin and the others try to escape to Sherwood Forest. The sheriff corners Robin after he is forced to return to rescue a straggler, setting fire to Prince John's castle and causing Robin to leap from a tower into the moat below. Little John and Skippy watch as the moat is pelted with arrows and Robin is apparently shot and drowned, only for him to emerge unharmed after using a reed as a breathing tube. Prince John despairs and is driven into a blind rage when Sir Hiss points out his mother's castle is on fire. Later, King Richard returns to England, placing his brother and his cohorts under arrest, and allows Robin and Maid Marian to be married and leave Nottingham with Little John and Skippy in tow. ******. When the movie was done we cheered wildly. Me, that is so awesome. Lori, that movie is literally one of my favorites. Lana, mine too. Green Arrow, Robin Hood was actually one of the inspirations for me being a hero. Hawkeye, same with me. Me, that's cool guys. Lainey, it sure is. Sora, did you go to the Robin Hood world during your search for Riku? Sora, I sure did. And we helped depose Prince John and got Robin Hood pardoned. Me, awesome. Just like in the movie. Shall we head to the simulator and help him out? Everyone cheered. We went to the simulator. ******. In the simulator we were getting ready. When the simulator activated, we were in the world of Disney's Robin Hood from 1973. We were in Sherwood Forest, England in the year 1196 AD. Me, wow. Sherwood Forest. It's everything like we read about. Nico, it sure is. Robin Hood then landed in front of us. Me, wow. Robin Hood. Robin Hood, it's nice to finally meet you all. Me, you too. Sora, it's great to see you again, Robin. Robin Hood, you too, Sora. It's great to see you again as well. Goofy, how have you been? Robin Hood, doing good, Goofy. Robin Hood told us about what he does in Sherwood Forest and he asked us to help him in one of his raids. Sly Cooper, constant raids involving stealing from a rich guy? Count me in. Me, let's do it. We were going to learn how to do a Robin Hood raid. ******. We were raiding the castle of Prince John. ******. After tricking King Richard into partaking in a crusade beyond England, Prince John becomes the acting monarch of England and quickly asserts his authority over the kingdom. Surrounded by a very large army of henchmen, he easily robs the people of England of all they have, causing misery and despair among the population. He was known for his harsh and unjust taxes, and would gladly tax the people continually until they did not have a scrap of silver or gold left. He was not above imprisoning his people if they failed to pay their taxes even after they gave up everything they had. By the time of the film, he had set his sights on the wealthy village of Nottingham and proceeded to assert his rule over the city. Unfortunately for Prince John, his scheming ways caught the attention of famed robber Robin Hood, who, alongside his faithful companion Little John, robbed the rich to give to the poor. During his journey to Nottingham, Prince John ran across two fortune tellers, actually Robin Hood and Little John in clever disguises, and eagerly accepted their offer to tell him his fortunes, despite Sir Hiss warning him of the possible danger. As Robin Hood distracted him by complimenting his more sovereign and regal features, he and Little John robbed Prince John's caravan of the gold they had been carrying, and escaped into Sherwood Forest right under the noses of the fooled guards. Robin Hood added further insult to the injury by making off with John's royal robe, leaving him in nothing but long underwear, so that he couldn't do anything to deter Robin Hood and Little John. John gave chase, but he fell out of his carriage. Little John made off with the golden hubcaps on the wheels, again so that Prince John couldn't deter them. Utterly humiliated, John swore revenge on Robin Hood, labeling him a wanted man in Nottingham. Upon arriving in Nottingham, Prince John decreed a series of harsh taxes on the villagers, driving them out of their homes and leaving them starving. Those unable to pay were sent to the stocks. Aiding John in his efforts was the cruel sheriff of Nottingham, who had no shame in robbing the people on behalf of the prince. During John's rule, Robin Hood, Little John, and Friar Tuck of the local church did everything they could to keep hope alive in the town, secretly distributing money among the starving population. The people viewed Robin Hood as a hero, so he was never turned in for his illegal crimes against the prince. Prince John also set up his residence in his mother's castle in Nottingham, where Maid Marian, Robin's former love, still resided. Maid Marian had no love for the prince and desperately wished to see Robin again, while at the same time fearing that he had forgotten all about her. Prince John eventually set up a trap for Robin Hood by hosting an archery tournament and offering up a kiss from Maid Marian as the winning prize. Unable to resist this opportunity to see his lost love again, Robin eagerly enrolled in the tournament, disguised as a stork, while Little John disguised himself as a duke. Although falling for Little John's disguise, the prince expected Robin to be in disguise and took note of the stork's superior archery skills. When Robin won the tournament as John had planned, after recognizing him when shaking his hand, he unmasked his enemy in front of the crowd and had him arrested and sentenced to immediate death. Maid Marian pleaded with him to show mercy, but her pleas fell on deaf ears, even after Robin proclaimed his undying love for Maid Marian. John labeled Robin a traitor to the crown, but was openly insulted by Robin, who shouted, "Long live King Richard!" Outraged, John yells at everyone to be silenced and ordered Robin to be executed, but was forced to let Robin go when Little John held him hostage from behind with a dagger. The sheriff discovered this, and when Little John got distracted, John indignantly ordered his minions to do away with Robin. In the battle that followed, Robin and his friends defeated John's minions and destroyed the tournament grounds, forcing John to cower behind a barrel of ale. Robin and his allies then fled into Sherwood Forest, much to the prince's outrage. When he found Sir Hiss inside an ale barrel, having been forced in there by Friar Tuck to prevent the latter from exposing Robin Hood's true identity, due to his anger at being humiliated, as well as Sir Hiss supplying information about the stork's true identity that he by that point already knew, vented his rage by tying him to a knot on a pole and daring him to get himself out of it. In the days that followed, John was further insulted to learn that the villagers were mocking him with the song "Prince John, Phony King of England," infuriating the evil ruler. Pushed to the end of his rope, he placed even harsher taxes on the people and arrested dozens of helpless villagers who were unable to pay. The town was driven into poverty and everybody was losing hope. Although John now had all of the money left in the village, he still was not satisfied, and longed to kill Robin Hood. One stormy night, John sat silently seething in his throne, ignoring the mountains of gold that now surrounded him, until Sir Hiss attempted to cheer him up by informing him of Friar Tuck's arrest. At first, John flew into a rage, as it was Robin Hood he wanted, but then realized that he could use this to his advantage. He sentenced Friar Tuck to the gallows in an attempt to lure out Robin Hood, hoping to use the opportunity to capture Robin Hood and finally do away with him for good. However, Robin caught on to this plan, and he and Little John agreed to trigger a jailbreak that night to save the friar's life. That night, Robin and Little John broke into the castle. Little John proceeded to free Friar Tuck and all of the prisoners. Meanwhile, Robin sneaked past the guards and found the prince sleeping in his royal quarters. Keeping quiet, he recovered gold everywhere in the room and gave it back to the overjoyed prisoners, who prepared to make off with what was rightfully theirs. Unfortunately, Sir Hiss awoke to find Robin escaping, and the prince also woke up to the scene. He ordered his minions to kill Robin, causing a large fight to break out within the castle. Robin and Little John defended the prisoners as they fled, and opened the gates to Sherwood Forest. Unfortunately, Robin was left behind after rescuing one of the children who nearly got left behind, and found himself pursued by John's guards and the sheriff. The sheriff trapped Robin in a tower by setting the castle on fire, forcing Robin to jump in the moat, where he was shot at by archers. John watched gleefully as he waited to see if Robin was dead, and was overjoyed when he did not resurface. Unfortunately for John, Robin swam underwater back to the shore, uninjured and mocking the foolish tyrant. John began complaining when he realized he was foiled again by Robin. Sir Hiss criticized him for his failure about that his actions burned his mother's castle, with John threatening to hit him with a wooden stick if he didn't shut up. John finally snaps and flies into a violent rage. He chased Sir Hiss around the castle, aggressively attacking him with the stick, all of this while sucking his thumb. Eventually, King Richard returned home and found out about the terrible deeds that Prince John, and the Sheriff of Nottingham, had inflicted on the people of England. Richard immediately reclaimed his throne from his brother and repealed all of the unjust taxes John had imposed on the people, allowing Nottingham to return to happiness and prosperity. Richard also pardoned Robin Hood for his past crimes, and honored him for his efforts to help the people. Meanwhile, John was sentenced to jail along with Sir Hiss and the Sheriff of Nottingham for their crimes against poor people, and the three villains got thrown in the royal rock pile, working to pay off the debt that they owed the citizens of England for their embezzlement. John howls in pain when his foot gets crushed by a rock fragment, much to Sir Hiss' amusement. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. We were killing all his guards and we swiped all his loot in one fell swoop, and we were slashing all the guards and men apart until all there was left was a pile of dead bodies. Mind wipe. Mind controls guards give me and my friends some gold from this castle. Mind wipe made them do so. We left and Prince John had his castle up in flames. He was extremely pissed off and he knew that he was in big trouble and he was sucking his thumb like a little baby. He was a true phony. Later we went back to Robin Hood's hideout. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Back at the hideout we were celebrating a successful raid. Cosmos, I still think we should have taken out Prince John back there. Robin Hood, well, I thought it would have been more funny to, as you guys say, see him lose his cool. Mind wipe, how many raids do we really have to make before dealing with Prince John permanently? Robin Hood, until he finally makes his move. Me, then we will continue to raid his castle. We did so for over 10 days and it was one successful raid after another. Lola, Prince John is a phony. I think it would be best to send to our space prisons. Lana, no way. He'll just whine and annoy the other prisoners. Me, that's true. And he is a true phony king who is nothing but a whiny little baby. William, you didn't say that Prince John tends to throw tantrums. Robin Hood, I might have implied it when I said that he would lose his cool. Me, he's nothing but a whiny little baby and he is a stupid greedy tyrant. I then sensed Prince John coming. Me, here he comes guys. Let's show him what happens when you mess with Team Loud Phoenix Storm. Sly Cooper, you got that right JD. Nico, let's do it. Me, cracks knuckles, let's make that whiny baby beg for mercy. My eyes glowed red. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Prince John was completely enraged. We confronted him. Me, Prince John the phony king. Nico, this is exactly what I said to Ken. Don't you think it's time you give up on this charade, John? It's getting old. You think you are a king? No you aren't. You're nothing more than a pathetic whiny little baby that is nothing but a pretender. You're like that story, The Emperor's New Clothes. Me, in other words, Prince John the whiner of England, you have failed this kingdom and this country. Nico, hey. That was my line. Me, sorry, but you were gonna say it anyway. Nico, true. Me, let's get him. We went at Prince John and I punched him in the face and Nico kicked him in the stomach and Sly Cooper bashed him in the face with his cane and Molly Malloy dealt him a powerful uppercut and kicked him in the stomach and punched him in the face and knocked out his big right tooth. Sid, you give all lions everywhere a really bad name. Sid punched John in the face and kicked him in the crotch and stepped on his foot and broke it with a sickening crunch. Crunch. He screamed like a little girl. She flared up her aura and it turned into an African elephant and she rammed and trampled Prince John. Ronnie Ann, awesome. Me, that was amazing. Never underestimate the power of the animal kingdom. Let's show him our combos. Cosmos. You got it, JD. Cyber Key Power. The Earth Cyber Planet Key went into the side of his particle blaster and it enhanced it 100-fold. Molly Malloy, let's do this. Earth Cyber Key Power. The Earth Cyber Planet Key went into Molly Malloy's arm and it enhanced her plant powers 100-fold. Cosmos and Molly Malloy, Cosmic Plant Bind Slam. Cosmos fired his particle blaster and Molly Malloy grew nasty bramble vines. The particle blasts hit Prince John and exploded and burned him bad, and the vines entangled him and slammed him into the ground with ferocious fury. Crablom. 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 Ravage. Let's get him. Cyber Key Power. The Earth Cyber Planet Key went into his arm and enhanced his heat-seeking missiles. Mind Wipe. Let's have some fun. Cyber Key Power. The Earth Cyber Planet Key went into his arm and it enhanced his neurocircuitry paralyzing fluid. G1 Ravage and Mind Wipe. Neuroparalysis Missile Burst. Ravage fired heat-seeking missiles and Mind Wipe fired his fluid and they hit and exploded and numbed him. Me. Let's show him the power of our final smashes. Sly Cooper. Let's get him. I'll start us off. Skills of the Cooper clan. Sly and the spirits of the Cooper clan family went at Prince John and they bashed him all over the place with their skills and pulverized him all over the place with their canes and weapons. Robin Hood. This is for the poor citizens of England. Sherwood Forest Leaf Storm. Robin Hood fired a massive storm of leaves at Prince John and they shredded him. Prince John was weakened and he was really mangled up. We walked up to him and we had our arms crossed. Nico, to Prince John, you know what? You're not even worth killing. And the prisoners in our prisons would just be annoyed by your whining. No. We're just going to have you locked up in this world's prison. You don't even have the skills to get out. Prince John was dethroned and King Richard I the Lionheart returned and Prince John was condemned to work in the Rock Yard forever. Robin Hood, to the viewers, you steal from the poor and you will answer to me and Team Loud Phoenix Storm. Me, you got that right, Robin Hood. We added the world of Robin Hood to the orbit of the realm of departure. The end. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Another awesome chapter complete and another Disney villain thrown in prison. Robin Hood from 1973 was an awesome Disney movie. I saw it earlier and it was awesome. Nico-chan 11 gave me the ideas for this one. Thanks man as usual. Let me know what you all think. See you all next time.